Good evening and welcome to the Smyrna Town Council workshop. For our October workshop, setting our agenda for our November meeting. Before we move into our items for discussion, I'm going to ask Mark Adkins to do our prayer and Steve Sullivan to do our pledge. If you'll stand with us, please.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you this evening and Lord, just grateful for everything that you've done for us today and in our lives. Lord, we welcome the fall season here at home. And as we do, Father, we pray that people will be cognizant of their surroundings with heaters coming on and the things that they do to keep warm and just safety measures, Father. We also pray for those that keep our town safe, our firemen, our policemen and women, all those that serve our community here. Father, all the employees that are out doing the work for our town, we are very thankful for them. And Lord, we lift them up to you to keep them safe. As we go through this meeting, we ask for just guidance and that we continue to do the right thing for what our town needs. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please face flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark. Steve? We will move into our items for discussion tonight. Our first item is consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 54, parcel 52.00 and parcel 52.01. Kevin?
Yeah, this is the plan of services for the annexation that's coming up on your agenda. A fairly standard document you see many times. It puts in writing the services we will be providing upon annexation. This is all services in this regard except for water, which is provided by CUD. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend it to you.
Questions for Kevin on this? We've already talked about it a couple of times. Anything else? Then we will put it on our agenda and move on to item 2, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of the property located on tax map 54, parcels 52.00 and 52.01, containing approximately 44.9 acres. It's requested by Thomas Steffen, properties located northeast of Rocky Fork Amaville Road, and it is a second reading. Kevin?
Yeah, this is the annexation that we just talked about. This is this development and the PRD. There's two different things. There's an annexation as part of this and PRD zoning, which is this item, and then later on is the amendment of the existing PRD, same development, overall development plan. Again, nothing has changed since you looked at this on first reading. This would be an overall, this PRD would be for 343 lots. It does change the road layout somewhat as well. Some of the lot widths are a little different on this as what was originally approved. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend it with 3 conditions, which you see there in your agenda summary.
Questions for Kevin on this or the conditions? Okay, then we'll move on to item 3, which is consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 18-32 relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcels 52.00 and 52.01, which has to be done to go along with the annexation. So we will put that on the agenda in case we annex. And then item 4 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the PRD on land referenced by tax map 54, parcels 49.00, containing approximately 77.1 acres, requested by Thomas Steffen, properties located south of Morton Lane, and it is a second reading. Kevin?
Yeah, this is the amendment of the existing PRD for the property that is already within the town. Same recommendation from Planning Commission as well as the conditions that were part of the annexation as well.
Questions for Kevin on this? Then we'll move on to item 5, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the text of the Smyrna Municipal Zoning Ordinance to amend Article 2, Sections 2.036.3 and Article 5, Section 5.052.c regarding car washes. This is also a second reading. Kevin?
Yeah, this is one, the text amendment regarding adding car washes as a special exception review within the C2 district. Again, nothing has changed on since first reading. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend it. I do still need to get you the parking request that you had at the last one. We'll get that to you before second reading.
Okay. questions for Kevin on this? It really, it goes a little bit with this, but not exactly. What about the mobile car washes that we're seeing setting up in parking lots? And I've seen some now in old car washes that have been abandoned. What's protocol for that? What, is it just a business license? They have to have permission from the owner of the lot? How does that work?
Well, they certainly have to have a business license. But we have treated those as temporary businesses, though, and so they have to meet the same criteria we have for our temporary sales or retail or things of that nature, like a food truck or whatever.
Which is what? I guess educate me a little bit.
Typically, because most of the time they do have a vehicle involved, and anything with any type of vehicle does require actually BZA review, and so they haven't. Most of them haven't done that,
Yeah,
so they're in violation.
I don't think I've
So,
ever heard.
I mean, we saw one. We went, we picked up along Lowry earlier this week, and it wasn't a car wash. It was actually a mobile vehicle repair. So, I mean, we know that they're out there, and I know that Codes has been talking with some of those folks. At least.
I'm just starting to see them more and more on the weekends, and that's just what I travel. And I'm sure if I drove around, there would probably be
find more.
more than just where I am, and I didn't know what protocol was for that.
And again, they would have to have a business license, but even then, they would have to go through to operate in Smyrna, they would have to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we've not had any of those. We've had several food trucks come through, but not any kind of mobile
Okay.
detailing.
Have you all noticed them as well? Yeah.
So,
Okay. Item 6 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the text of the Smyrna Municipal Zoning Ordinance to amend Article 3 to add Section 3.200, Traffic Impact Studies. This is a second reading. Kevin?
again, this is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission did review this a couple different times, and before they made a recommendation to you on it. This basically just puts in writing and kind of spells out for everybody when traffic studies would be required for new developments. And puts those guidelines in place for when they're required, and if they are required, how they go about doing those and what's required as part of them. Again, nothing has changed since first reading for this, and again, Planning Commission did review it and did recommend it to you.
I did have a thought that came up after our last meeting. Do other cities do something similar to this? I mean, we're not going out on a limb here, are we?
No, we reviewed, I know Murfreesboro, the county, Metro Nashville, Franklin, Brentwood, most cities around us do have something in place, as well as, I reviewed that, as well as some national kind of standards that the ITE, the Transportation Engineering Group, kind of recommends some kind of standards.
That's where you came up with 1,000 and 100? Okay,
Yes.
cool, thanks.
Any other questions on this? Okay, then we'll move on to item 7, which is consideration of a resolution approving the updated 2016 Rutherford County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Yeah, this is something that kind of got sprung on us a little bit. In January 2011, the council did approve the 2010 Rutherford County Hazard Mitigation Plan. It's required in order for the town to receive reimbursements if there's a disaster declared for our expenses. This plan got updated in late 2015, early 2016. The Rutherford County Board of Commissioners actually did adopt it in November of 2016. Smyrna, nor Murfreesboro, nor anyone else within the town or within the county were notified of that. And so it was kind of come about recently when we were looking at a part of a grant proposal, and one of the questions was, are you a part of the county or hazard mitigation plan? And we discovered we were not, because it had been updated without us being a part of that. So we would recommend it, obviously, updating this plan for that purpose, as well as to the other secondary purpose, or really probably the primary purpose, or could be the primary purpose, regarding the any reimbursements if there's any disasters that we have to submit for reimbursement through the federal government on. So again, we would recommend this. This is something that's typically done every 5 years. The new plan will have to be done in 2021. So this resolution would approve the 2016 plan and make it effective until April 2022. That's when the FEMA approval of that plan expires. So so we would recommend that to you. I did attach that updated plan to your packet as well.
Just a point, did you notice who they have as the town of Smyrna representatives?
Yes, because that's what it was before.
What it was before,
Back
okay.
in 2010.
Okay.
So they didn't update it.
Okay.
And
What way can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Is there somebody we can, what's your best?
Tim Hooker is a guy that I know Tom has been talking with as well on this. So hopefully we're plugged back into that
Okay.
now.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, Kevin, this is basically a hazard assessment type of plan, is that correct?
Right, it's primarily flooding, tornado,
You know,
whatever.
where they
yeah.
put the risk and probability and that type of thing in there.
Right.
Who did the actual study? I know you said the commissioner approved it, but who did the study, do we know?
I know Rutherford County EMA is who really led that. I believe they were the biggest driver behind all of it, even from
So you
2010
think it was
as
pretty much
well.
internal?
I think pretty much, yeah.
Other questions? Okay, then we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 8, which is consideration of an ordinance to amend Chapter 7, temporary sign provisions, Section A, general requirements of the Town of Smyrna sign ordinance regarding banners. This is a second reading. Questions or concerns? We've already kind of gone over this in regards to nonprofits. There was one question that I had, Jeff. Will they pay the permit fee on the front end and get it back, or they don't pay at all? Do you know off the top of your head?
They do not pay at all. It's just the jeopardy would be that if they didn't follow the guidelines, they would not be eligible to do it for the second
Okay,
time.
okay, okay.
Wasn't there something if they didn't pick it up, they might have to pay?
Oh,
I thought there was some sort of penalty as well if they didn't. Tell you what, we'll move on to item 9 and let Jeff be looking at that. Item 9 is consideration of an ordinance to amend ordinance 17-23, adopting the 2017-2018 fiscal year budget. This is a second reading. Rex?
Mayor and council, these are the year-end budget housekeeping amendments that we make each year. In the general fund, the amendments are for the following. The Public Works Department was over budget by $1,805 due to town hall remodeling expense. The event center was over budget by $102,300 due to overlapping salaries for the chef position, utility and repair and maintenance overruns, and increased costs for food due to unanticipated food sales. In the general fund, in the debt service fund, we refunded several issues of long-term debt. This, if you remember, this saved the town $1.5 million by doing this refunding. We made transfers to pay for refunding costs in an amount of $92,258. The amendments of more than $3.6 million reflect the refunding transactions and setting up the escrow account. There's also an amendment reflecting the reclass to reduce the note receivable with the airport authority. The balance of these amendments was an increase of $37,323 into fund balance. In the capital projects fund, the amendments were for funding the town hall renovation project in Public Works. We also transferred surplus funds from the general fund to the capital project fund and need an amendment of $3,823,454 to reflect that transaction. The town also received a Department of Safety reimbursement grant, and we need to amend revenue expenses by $35,000. This has been added for the second reading. Mayor and council, our department heads really do a good job of maintaining their budgets. We have over $40 million in expenditures in a year, and these are very minute overruns.
Questions for Rex on any of these? Anyone? Okay, then we will put that on for second reading and move on to item 10, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Mail Financial, a NeoPost USA company relative to our postage meter. Rex?
Yes, ma'am. The town seeks to enter into a lease agreement for this postage machine. The term of the lease is for 5 years. The lease agreement allows rate changes to be updated electronically at no cost to the town. The pricing is off of a statewide contract, and it's the postage vendor that we're presently using.
Questions for Rex on this? We'll put that on the agenda. And item 11 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Porter Roofing Contractors Incorporated relative to the Justice Center skylight renovations. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor Council. We had contracted with Klein Sweeney to take a look at some issues that Judge Alexander brought up with us about the skylight in the Justice Center regarding some noise and heat issues. Klein Sweeney evaluated and gave some recommendations to fix those issues. They put together some construction plans on it, went out to bid, and received 2 bids. The lowest responsive bidder is Porter Roofing at $53,454, and asking for approval for them to do that work.
And we feel like this will take care of both the heat and the noise.
According to Klein Sweeney, yes.
Okay.
Can you describe what they're going to do?
What they're going to do is, I think it's a 2.5 inch thick section of a piece of insulation. They're going to be putting over the large skylight that sits right over the judge's area. I don't know what you call it. Don't go to court very
Almost
often.
the whole courtroom.
Almost the whole courtroom.
Yeah.
It's going to cover that in insulation, and then they're going to wrap that over with metal to protect it and fasten it down. But should take about I think a couple weeks, 3 weeks to do the work. This will keep from having to go inside and do any internal work. It will keep them from having to rip off the roof as well and disrupt any work that the judge has to do.
What about lighting inside of the courtroom? Because I know that gave her a ton of light in there. Is there going to have to be something added in regards to lighting?
We talked to Klein Sweeney about that. They don't think that'll be an issue because it was anticipated to have enough light in there for evening, night court as well.
Okay.
So aesthetically, from the inside, it'll look the same then, right?
Yeah, basically look about the same, just a little bit less, probably less light, a lot less
Other
light
than a
over the
big
skylight.
dome in your
Yeah, big arch.
roof. Okay. Other questions for Tom on this? And I'm sorry, the amount of time, you probably already said that and I just wasn't listening.
I think once they get started, I think they anticipated 3, 4 weeks to do the work.
Great. Okay, item 12 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Site Engineering Consultants, SEC, relative to drainage study of McClary Road and Lawson Road area. Tom?
As you know, we've had several complaints over the years with flooding around McClary Road, Lawson, as well as Parker and Peyton Road. I looked into it. I actually went out there one day when it was actively flooding, and it could be an extensive issue. I felt that it was important to go out and get an engineering study done of that area. We contacted SEC Engineering. Brian and I met with them, Matt Taylor, to discuss what the issues are. This is a contract for them to basically go in and do that evaluation and make recommendations on what to do to help fix the flooding issues.
Questions for Tom on this? Okay, we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 13, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with the Tennessee Rehab Center relative to the use of the recreation field area by Parks and Recreation Department. Mr. Moss, how are you?
I'm great.
Great.
How are y'all?
Great.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We've had this before you every year for the last probably 10 years or so. We've got an agreement with the rehab center that we use about 6 acres of their property over there where the practice field is, and it's surrounded by our greenway. So we're already mowing in that area. Part of the agreement is we maintain it, mow it, pick it up, and schedule it on certain days. So we're just asking for approval of that again.
Questions for Mike? This is one of those that we do every year.
Has it always had the time the time constraints that have
Yes,
to be
sir.
done by Saturday at noon, those kind of things?
They do, and I think it was Wednesday or something
Yeah,
like
Wednesday,
that.
there's nothing, yeah.
They sometimes they have teams and they'll bring other teams into play. They just wanted to have access to those fields at those times, and
Okay.
it didn't change. They've
I never knew those were in there. I guess we
Yes.
just stayed away from it.
And it's rare, sometimes on Saturday they'll be there, but it's rare that we get a call,
Yeah.
you know, that they are.
Okay, item 14, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a change order number 2 relative to the Jefferson Springs Greenway extension. Mike?
Yes, ma'am. In your packet, you can see what our CEIs have put in there for the change order. We do have a progress meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, so we'll confirm this, but it's for several things, mainly just unforeseen, unsuitable soils through the Jefferson Springs area where the canopies of trees have been for years. We had to go in there and dig out more than what we thought we'd be digging out, and you had to replace it with stone to bring it up and pass a proof roll. So the bulk of the work is there. The other part of that is some prime coat, basically, that you have to put down before you put asphalt down. So one of the quantities was wrong in the bid, so we would have been paying for it before or after. That's part of it, and some of the other things are just small head walls and things of that nature. For the cost of $122,305.25, and I did talk to TDOT about the coverage of that. They're making sure they have the funds to do that. They feel comfortable. They allowed me to bring it before you. They feel comfortable they'll pay their 80% on that.
Great. Questions for Mike? Okay, then we'll move on to item 15, which is discussion relative to the building demolition services for buildings at 38 South Lowry Street. Mike?
Yes, ma'am. This is the demolition services for the old Tower World building, an area down there. And we had 4 people submit bids, and if you read your packet, which I'm sure you did, you noticed that one of the bids was really low and it was incomplete and incorrect. Rex was with me in the bid opening, so he can concur with that, and we've discussed that. The next lowest bid was $105,890 for modern day wrecking. I have checked, I've got calls into all 3 references and heard back from 2 of those, and with positive comments. So we got 60 days down as the project timeline. Weather will dictate that. We're basically all those buildings will come down. The area with the pavement to the north of buildings will stay. That'll be a staging area for us to service the existing parkland that we have where the gazebo is, and also whatever we decide to do to the south of that. Again, 4 bidders and checking references, and those were all Metro housing references, I believe.
Question for Mike on this. Okay, then we will move on to item 16, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Paul Corporation relative to Paul membrane modules for the water treatment plant. Mr. Strange, how are you tonight?
Yes, ma'am, doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. All right, at the water treatment plant, we went to the microfiltration process back in 2012. When we transferred to that process, obviously we took the sand filtration stuff out. We began seeing sand coming into the modules, which have little fibers in them, breaking the fibers. They've really been beat up pretty badly. Didn't do a real great job, the contractor did not, on getting that stuff cleaned out. Paul, who we have the system with, considers that foreign debris. So that kills the warranty when stuff like that happens. We also had a couple of tanks there, the bleach generation tank and the caustic tanks, which were put in outside of Paul's warranty. We changed those 2 tanks out last year to bring us back under the warranty. So this is a program that we worked 6 months or so with Paul, trying to get a program set up where we can replace these modules and get things back to where they need to be at the plant. You'll see in your packet the first year we do have that already budgeted and approved in the capital budget for this year. So,
Questions for Mike on this? Okay, then we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 17, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Parker Hannafin. Say it again. Hannafin. Parker Hannafin Corporation relative to the maintenance for the THM analyzer at the water treatment plant.
Yeah, this is the annual maintenance agreement. The THM analyzer is a piece of lab equipment that we measure trihalomethanes with, which are regulated by the state, and this is the same cost as last year on this maintenance agreement.
Questions for Mike on this agreement? Okay, we'll move on to item 18, which is consideration of an ordinance enacting a code of ordinances for the town of Smyrna. This is a first reading. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, we've discussed recodification for quite some time, probably longer than what you'd like, but we're finally here. As I've sent you an email yesterday, some of you have the disc, and I will get the rest of you your disc this evening. Although there will not be any surprises on that. We discussed all of those changes back, it's probably been 10 months ago, I guess. But it just will be in a cleaner format. This allows us, the recodification for the public, allows us to bring all of those amendments that have happened over the past 10 years and bring those into the actual code so that they're part of the code and you don't have to go searching for the amendments out here on the side. So it just basically cleans it up and brings the entire document back together. This will not be the zoning ordinance at this time. That will occur probably about 2 months. I just wanted to get one at a time.
As there are amendments done going forward, will this company add that, or how will that work?
Yes, that's another great thing with American Legal, that we'll be able to insert those so that when the public will search it, it'll be in that one document so they can find it.
Question?
So our website will be up to date.
Yes, and there will be a link as well.
Questions for Jeff on this? Jeff, I know you and your department have spent a ton of time on this, and we really appreciate it. It's a huge undertaking, we know. So, okay, item
You said the zoning's not in this?
No, we have it prepared and ready, but with Kevin, talked to him, we're prepared to bring that in January, and we'll have to incorporate all those changes that we've made
For 2
recently.
readings on that, once it comes in also?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
Anything else for Jeff on this? We'll move on to item 19, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract relative to the purchase of property adjacent to the Smyrna Event Center. Jeff, you going to talk a little bit about this?
Yes, Mayor, as Mr. Hercules has spoken with the council previously at workshops, we've had the opportunity to acquire 3.5 acres adjacent to the town event center, which would be easily used by the town, and this is a contract to purchase is what you have before you.
Questions for Jeff on this? We had already given Brian the authority to negotiate, and so we have that contract in front of us now. Okay, then we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 20, which is the appointment of one member to the Arts Commission Board to serve an unexpired term ending in 2019. I know that we have had some applications submitted, but if you are interested in serving on the Arts Commission, you can go on our town website and submit an application to be considered at our next meeting. Item 21 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contract with CenturyLink relative to data circuit for the police department. Robert, you taking that one?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor and Council. This is an existing circuit that has been in place with the police department for a number of years, and this is just a renewal contract of that. It is used for radio communications between Smyrna PD and the TBI in Nashville.
Questions for Robert? Then we will put that on the agenda.
What are you gonna do with the $7 savings?
We'll let Chief buy a couple more bullets or something. I don't know.
Pens, that's about all you can get.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was funny, I said it's a bit lower, it's a small bit.
okay, Jeff, anything else under other tonight?
No.
Okay, then we will move on to director's reports.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Bermuda has finally started slowing down, growing, and the leaves are turning, and we're rolling into the fall pre-emerge time frame when we're spraying out all the weeds from the roughs and around the greens. We're also doing some irrigation repair, which is a constant thing on on that system. And then we have been working on our 2018 employee evaluations.
Great. Questions for Hal? Thanks, Hal. Tom?
Mayor Council, just an update on some of our major projects. The Stonecrest San Ridley intersection project kicked off this last Monday. The Potomac Place extension project is currently out to bid. We should be receiving those on November 20th to evaluate. Also, Weekly Swan, the rebid on that, those bids are due back on November 1st. And this last Tuesday, we did a kickoff meeting with several people, mainly people involved, and Kimley Horn on the ADA transition plan and self-evaluation. I'll be working on that for the next several months, gathering data to develop that plan.
Questions for Tom? Tom, anything, where are we on the traffic study in the Rock Springs Road area?
Gresham Smith did send a preliminary report to me with some limited information. They had some questions for me. I discussed it with them. I believe it's November 5th or November 8th. Brian and I are going to meet with them to present the findings a little bit more and start developing out the rest of the report.
So possibly have more information when we have our meeting about roads in November?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Talking about
Great.
that.
Okay.
I noticed some traffic counters popping up around town. Can you talk about that a little bit?
They did put some out for the Lee Road, Rocky Fork Road. That's one that's our project. So if you saw counters out there, that's for the project we're doing. I'm not sure for where you're at with or whatever you're looking at.
That is one of them. I also saw one here on Enon Springs Road, right across from Fazoli's.
Right. Probably the TDOT does counts annually several places around town.
San Ridley also.
Okay. Other questions for Tom? Great. Jeff?
Mayor, Council, this is probably about the busiest time for the HR office. We're right in the middle of our United Way campaign. We've got open enrollment starting very soon. Part of the United Way campaign early on, we talked about the golf scramble this summer. Piggybacking on that, we've had a couple events in the past 2 weeks, raised over $1,000 for the community. We've got another event for employees tomorrow, our chili cook-off. And we hope to raise some other funds as well. So really excited about that. Our health fair for employees is coming up on November 2nd. So that's a great event we do every 2 years where we have tons of vendors come out to share health and wellness information with our employees to help our population be healthier. So that's exciting coming around the corner. And then one bit of good news. I did some research over the last month or so as part of our public safety compensation study and looking at some of our fringe benefits. And I noticed that one of our fringe benefits seemed to be kind of falling behind some of our peers. And that's the amount of basic life insurance coverage that we provide employees. So right now, the town provides a $20,000 life insurance policy for all employees, full-time employees. And looking at our peers, other cities and counties around us, that was well below what our peers are doing. And so I was able to get a quote in from our current vendor. And for about $1,400 more a month, we're going to be able to go from $20,000 worth of life insurance to $50,000 worth of life insurance. So that's going to be a great benefit enhancement for our employees coming up. So I'm excited about that.
Great. Questions for Jeff? Nice job, Jeff. Mr. Moss?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor and Council, as you know, we got several projects going on around town and in the park system. We also have several programs. So I do want to let you know, I put it in the weekly report, but we were really happy with our Fright Nights event down at the Outdoor Center. I was very proud of the staff and volunteers and what they were able to accomplish. But we had over 700 people come through on those 2 nights, Saturday being the big night. I think Smyrna Stewart's Creek football game hurt us on that Friday night, but it was a good trial run for us. So we're excited about that. Cedar Stone Park has started. There's silt fence up out there, and I think you'll see some more work going on the next week or two. I know they're going to start on the sewer line and some of those things, so you'll start seeing some equipment out there. And just want to let the public know kind of what's going on. We will put up construction signs. It might have went up today just to say what that project is. Rotary Soccer Park Annex, the lights have been delivered. Lights and poles are on site. And I know the Utilities Department is doing some boring for us to get some conduit under the road to the power source there. So we're excited about getting that started and getting it completed before spring. Also, just to let the public know, at the event center we'll be hopefully with weather, good weather, sealing that asphalt down there and getting started on the roof next week. So we'll be working around those guys and coning off areas, so just be aware of that. And of course, I know you'll hit on Halloween in the park this weekend. So very busy. Leagues are kind of starting to end, and we'll go into kind of project mode and repair mode for the winter.
Great. Questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike.
Yes, ma'am.
Robert?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Information Services has completed our annual system deployment, so we are moving on to other things. Day-to-day care and feeding and maintenance of the systems, looking at some server upgrades. Most of that will happen behind the scenes, and users really won't see much of any changes. We are still seeing a continued uptick in cyber attacks, cyber problems that are specifically targeting state and local governments, and so we've taken additional precautions there. We're looking at some employee education programs to help cover that area too. Looking at some communication upgrades, very preliminary there, but we're staying busy with everything else too.
Questions for Robert? Thanks, Robert. Kevin?
Mayor and Council, we do have a planning commission next week, a fairly busy agenda with several items that may be coming to you all, as well as the Tom referenced the Potomac Place. The plats for those right away is on the agenda, as well as the site plan for a new hotel, which is actually taking the place of one that was already approved. The Glow Hotel is now going to be Avid Hotel, so that's what's going on.
And where was that?
It's on Expo at the corner of Sam Ridley and Expo Drive.
Okay.
Next to Fairfield Inn.
Charlie's and, yeah.
By Fairfield Inn, yeah. And other than that, we got a lot behind the scenes work going on the downtown plan, the comprehensive plan. Hopefully have something soon to go back to you all and the public with on that.
Great. Questions for Kevin? Thanks, Kevin. Rex?
September local sales tax collected, $1,078,285. That's a year-to-date deficit of $74,314. September state shared tax collected, $519,832. That's a year-to-date deficit of $12,952. And as usual, we're working toward trying to wrap up the audit and getting started with the budget, so we're staying pretty busy.
Budget just rolls around fast, doesn't it?
Very fast.
It does. Questions for Rex? Mike?
Yes, ma'am. I put one of these at each one of your all's seats. I tasked Bert Meese, who is our safety coordinator, to come up with a safety newsletter for utilities. This is the very first one. You guys are the first ones to see this other than Brian. This will go out to the employees in utilities on November 1st. Bert did a really great job on this, and right now we're going to do it quarterly. We may back that up to monthly given what he's got on his schedule and how things go. But right now we'll do it quarterly, but I want to give kudos to Bert. He did a great job on this.
Great. Questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike. Chief, how are you tonight?
Fine, Mayor. All I'd like to just take a second to thank everybody that came out for our open house. I was worried about the weather in the beginning, but the weather was in our favor, and we had a real good turnout. So I greatly appreciate everyone that came out and joined us.
Right. Questions for Chief? Thanks, Chief. Ms. Diane?
So far this month, we've issued 34 new business licenses, and out of those, 17 were contractors, and 8 were actually based in Smyrna. And with the help of the codes department, we're catching a lot of contractors that did not have a license prior.
Great.
And my husband and I yesterday celebrated our 48th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Jeff?
Yes, I did get to attend the International Municipal Lawyers Association Conference, which we always gather all kinds of information and get to find out some of the issues that are headed our way, or some of the circuit splits that we have in the courts, or some of the issues that we deal with on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. I will be wanting to reach out to you probably in the next week to see about dates, either in November or December for an executive session. We've got some items coming around the corner. I just want to make sure that the council is updated on where we're headed.
Great. HG?
Well, congratulations to Papa Tom and Diane.
We've survived so far.
There's still time.
Put too much effort in.
Did you say we or he?
He survived.
Yeah.
Belated birthday wishes to Mr. Hercules, who's absent tonight, our new town manager. He likes to be called our new town manager, you know. Also, best wishes to Raquel, who's under the weather. And please go vote, and please have a very safe Halloween. Thank you.
Tim?
Happy birthday to my wife this Saturday. She still looks great, and I'm, you know, I'm not in trouble right now, Miss Diane, so I'm doing okay there. Thanks.
Jerry?
I have nothing.
Nothing. Steve?
I don't think I have anything. You have things coming up, so I'll let you do your thing.
I think I might start sharing the wealth on these
We
on
really
the
like
list.
you. We really like you doing it.
Mark?
I have the privilege of seeing that list right
Yes.
there. So the only thing I would have mentioned that is on the list is Veterans Day that will be observed soon. I'll let you talk more in detail about that. But just a big, huge thank you to all those that have served, Steve, and those that have gone on since serving and their families. That's all I have to say.
That's also the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th. So
There you go.
That's my mother's birthday.
So we have a couple of items tonight. First is early voting is going on until this coming Thursday. During the week, Monday through Friday, it's 10 to 6, and Saturdays 10 to 12. That's here at Town Hall, but there are other locations around Rutherford County, and you can vote at any of those. What? Oh, and 8 to noon on Saturday. I mean, 10. Yes, 8 to noon on Saturday. Sorry. Halloween in the park will be this Saturday from 3 to 8. There's a ton of family fun activities. We have costume contests for all ages, hay rides, haunted hay rides, free inflatables, pie eating contests, train rides, and food vendors. I was going to say corn maze, but there's no corn maze this year. It's
Laser zombie tag.
zombie
laser shooting.
zombie laser.
You're shooting zombies.
You're shooting zombies. Okay, got it. And there will be more than 80 booths, and I will tell you each one of these booths have candy to give out to the kids, so it is a great event.
Get there early.
Yeah, that's right. Get there early.
Are you going to go out and play a zombie?
Are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
She does that every day.
After our laser tag at Stars and Strikes, she's probably been shot up.
Y'all are just on me tonight. Wait, Jerry, can you take care of that? Thank you. Next is the thing that Mark talked about that we're all so excited about. It's the Town of Smyrna and VFW Veterans Day celebration Sunday, November the 11th at 11 a.m. at the Captain Jeff Coos Memorial. This will mark the 100th anniversary, and the event is being coordinated between the town and the VFW, and we'll be honoring all veterans that have served our country. And it will be at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. And we encourage you all to come out. It will be a wonderful day. Item 4 is our Christmas tree lighting, which will be Tuesday, November the 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Smyrna Event Center. And we will turn on all the Christmas lights throughout town, and I will tell you, this is a great event for families to come out. We have usually hot chocolate and cookies and activities for the kids and sing-along, and then we have one very special visitor that shows up at the end, and we have pictures. Oh, and it's Tim's birthday, so even more special. So, Tim, we're all going to be celebrating your birthday and joining it at the event center to celebrate. The next thing is We are now accepting applications for the Town of Smyrna Charity Assistance Board. And Jeff, do we need to put that under the other to go ahead and
We can
and
do,
appoint that? We have one member that is no longer going to be serving, so
we can have that
Ms.
on your
Diane, can we
agenda.
go ahead and put that on the agenda? But if you're interested in serving on our Charity Assistance Board, which provides financial aid to selected nonprofit charities, and they provide year-round services benefiting the general welfare of the residents in the municipality, this is the board for you. So if you're interested, you can go on the Town of Smyrna website and fill out an application. Next, we have the Gingerbread House Workshop, which is Tuesday, December 4th at 5:30. Mike, or do we still have spots available?
Yeah, I think they're not taking those yet. I think they've advertised for them.
Okay.
It seems like you start in November.
Okay.
I think they're doing about 60 spots this year.
Okay, so once it is available, open for enrollment, if you'll come out with your family, and you have to make reservations, but you can make your own gingerbread house. The larger houses are $10 and the medium houses are $8, and registration is required through our community pass on the website. Next, we have the Town of Smyrna 44th Annual Christmas Parade, and this year the theme is Songs of the Season, and we are accepting applications for that. It will go down Lowry Street, and it will take place on Sunday, December 2nd at 2 p.m. There will be cash prizes for the Mayor's Cup at $150, the Most Creative at $100, Best Use of Theme $100, and Best Christmas Spirit $100. I will tell you that last night on the website, I saw where one of our leagues had raised over 1,000 non-perishable items to go towards their parade float. So make sure that you come out. And a reminder to the citizens that are going to be coming out to watch the parade, please bring something for the food bank here in town. We will have a float that's done with our utilities department and our streets department, and they will pick those items up so that we then can fill the shelves of the food bank. Here we have a proclamation that we did the other day with the VFW for the Buddy Poppies. You will see Buddy Poppies being sold throughout town over the next couple of weekends. So if you see our Boy Scouts out doing that, please participate and buy a Buddy Poppy from them. Let's see, is there anything else? We had our 50-year celebration of youth football, and it was a great event, and hard to believe it's been 50 years for them. And Chief Bill, your Fire Prevention Week, the activities going on at the fire hall were great. The kids had so much fun. You could see that in the pictures. I think there were some adults that had a good time too. And I know you all have visited quite a few schools and daycares over the last little bit, haven't you?
No, we have.
That's what I thought. Council, don't forget our roads update will be before the next council meeting, November the 13th at 4:30. We will probably be doing that in the large conference room. Anything else?
Just a special shout out, Mike, tell Jill how much we appreciate her organizing this parade. We always thank her afterwards, but I know she's got her hands full right now.
She's in high gear.
She's in high gear, so thank you for that. And I also want to mention the Masonic Lodge is having a ham breakfast Saturday morning, November 3rd.
Business before hours we held at Carpe Artista last week. Was it last week or the week before? Yeah, it was a great event. So they put on a nice spread showcasing what they do here in the town. Lancaster invited me out for the fun run. We had a great time. I think that was last Friday. And if you didn't make it to brunch at the event center last Sunday, you missed it. It was phenomenal. I can't even begin to tell you how much food. There was a ton. Would you not agree?
Yes, I did not eat the rest of the day.
I was the same way. But
When's the next one?
the next one is November the 18th, I'm pretty sure. I would recommend that you go ahead and get reservations. Rhonda is taking those at the event center. And prime rib, omelet station, fruit, probably 20 different desserts. Breakfast, lunch food, you name it. If somebody walked away not finding something that they liked, there's something wrong because he had so many options. So we encourage you to come out and enjoy. Anything else? Nothing else? Then we are adjourned.